Jamie from Inky&Scrappy, sharing with you today Monopoly, Tailored Expressions, Uncle Sam's Stamp and Stencil Combo card 4 of 5, or series 4 of 5 out of this series. And so for this one, I wanted to do something a little bit different. I was not doing great with my whole stamping inside the lines thing, and I thought, let's see how hard this one is to color with some Copics. I picked Copics just because they are readily available on my desk, and I didn't have to think about color combos. I just grabbed markers, and I kept these super simple. So I kind of went with one color. I colored everything that I wanted to in that color for skin tone, kind of giving it a little bit of a shade underneath the hat and the one side, and then I just let that dry and then go over it again with a second coat. So then you get a darker image where you're going over that second layer. I will do this with all of my colors that I chose here. So I picked 3 and kind of 3 or 4 and went, I think I did 4. So I just kind of kept going with different ones, kind of trying to make sure I had an even amount or at least a variety inside of my image here. And so for my gray, I'm just going to go in with a W1 marker, keeping it all super simple, just one color on these, nothing great. The only thing that I'm going to do multiple colors on are the actual hats. I think they're just bigger. I think it's kind of that standout piece, and making them look a little bit rounded kind of brings a little bit more depth and dimension to this stamp set. And so this was super fast. I think coloring probably took me about 15 to 20 minutes total, including picking out my colors. So it didn't take a long time, and doing it in steps like this worked well. So I would color for and then move on to my next marker, color for, move on to the next one, sort of thing. So it just gave it, and I wasn't too worried about going inside, staying inside the lines. I was not super picky with this one. I could have used my Uhuhus. I just was, my Copics are much easier to find on my desk, and so I was just going for ease of use on this one. And so I went with the cool grays for my stovepipe hats to kind of give them that stovepipey look. And then finishing it up with another one. I will have a screenshot of the markers that I used for this one if you are interested. So what do we use? We use Google. So I went in and Googled the game board to figure out the rest of my colors. I kind of was thinking Monopoly was, Roy G. Biv, like I could do a rainbow of colors. I just kind of went that way to kind of figure out my colors. So I do end up doing 2 blues because, of course, you have the dark blues for the expensive ones and the light blues for the really cheap ones. And so I kind of just pulled colors from there, and then I did count. So I think I had 7 colors. Don't quote me on that. So, and then I just made sure that I went in order. So yes, I did color the one wrong, which wasn't a huge deal. I just ended up going over it with that clear marker there, or that 0 marker from Uhuhu, and kind of erased it a little bit. And then it was lucky enough that it was a dark blue that was going over it, so you really couldn't tell that I goofed it. So, and I just did one color combos here. I did the dark color first, or where I wanted the shading first, and then I just went over it all again once it was dry. So there is a screenshot of the colors that I used for this one. I told you it was super simple coloring. I love how it turned out with that Copic coloring. Getting that color variation and, of course, that roundness to the hat just, I think, brings something to it. And so this one was fun to do. Now, I couldn't decide what I wanted to do for this one, if I wanted to bring that stencil in or not. And let's just say the last one that I did, I really wasn't impressed with my stenciling ability on that one. And so I was like, you know what? I am just going to go with the stencil that comes with the set. And so that's what I did. And then, of course, I was like, I wanted to do some stencil paste. And so this still had some green on it from my Christmas cards, because I actually did these at the same time. And so I picked up some of that green that was left over on the stencil, which kind of worked. So it's kind of a silvery green. So I'm using Lawn Fawn's silver stencil paste there. So it kind of has this green, money, silvery vibe to it. It works. It was Monopoly. So, of course, this one brought out my snark, which I think this one is probably my favorite of all the ones that I have done. Yeah, it's probably the snarky sentiment for this one. So I looked and looked and looked. Actually, I knew what I had. I have this old game set from Close to My Heart that has these dice in it. And so that's what I ended up using. I was looking for Monopoly pieces, which really would have worked in you could have done a shoe in silver or something. But I don't think I had anything quite what I wanted. And so I decided to go with the dice. I stamped them in some VersaFine Onyx black ink, and then I covered them with clear embossing powder and heat set that. And then, of course, I'm just hand cutting these out. They were super simple. It's just straight lines, nothing too major going on there. And then I brought in some pattern paper from Doodlebug. I think it's Echo Park. It's either Echo Park or Doodlebug. It was the colors that matched the closest to what I had picked for my hats. So just a rainbow, kind of like a summer rainbow. I think it was the BBQ time pack or something like that in the 6x6. So I pulled out that and did that one for my background piece here. And then I'm bringing in the November Inked Girls from Ink Road Stamps. I don't know if this one is available anymore. It's a subscription, so if you're not on the subscription, she does sell the leftovers, but when they're gone, and they don't come back out. So this one just had some snarky sentiments on it that worked. Because it was a girl in roller skates, it has this is, kind of like this is how I roll. And so there was a few on there that I kind of had thought about using, and this is the one that won out. And so it says, they see me rolling and they be hating. If you've ever played Monopoly with your siblings, you know what I'm talking about. My brother and I used to play, and I don't know if we ever finished a full game of Monopoly without one of us throwing the board or accusing the other of cheating or crying. I don't know. It was never a good thing. So they see me rolling, they hate me. And so I thought this one was kind of cute to throw the dice on with that sentiment. And then, of course, that old guy that's Mr. Monopoly. What is he actually? I don't know. I'm sure he has a name. I just can't remember what it is right now. So I'm going to put that on my card base. And then, of course, I also needed to pull in another stamp set from Ink Road Stamps that has a little bit of snark in it as well. And this one says, I'll get over it. I just need to be dramatic first. So it kind of went with that whole Monopoly thing. So I just opted to do 2 number 2s on that one and kind of, kitty wampus them so they don't look like they're exactly the same. But I love how this one turned out. It was kind of simple and fun, and it just snarky and me. So I hope you enjoyed this one. I have one more for sure left, if not 2. And I will see you next time. I hope you have an amazing day. Keep getting inky. Bye!